I love the ups. I love the downs. You take the good, you take the bad, you take them all, and there you have facts of life.
Damn, rhyming. Welcome back to Just Weirdly Blended. I'm Jesse.
And I'm Tom.
And it's been a couple. No, it hadn't been a couple.
It has literally been a couple of weeks.
No. No, because we did that like mid-week podcast.
Did we?
Yeah.
That was the last one we did?
Yeah.
Oh, it's been like a week and a half.
Yeah.
And we're back.
Yeah, we're back.
Last Sunday we would have been back, but we were moving, some block.
We were moving bricks.
Yeah. Yeah. Very large bricks.
Very large cinder block looking bricks.
Yeah. My mother-in-law, my father-in-law was going to build a patio type space.
Looks really good.
It does. He did a good job. But my mother-in-law is famous for finding things for cheaper used.
Yes.
And so he was going to do pavers, which are very, fairly thin surface level blocks that lock in nicely together and form a patio. And my mother-in-law found some for a great deal. And they turned out to be used cinder blocks from a torn down farm building. But he made it work. We loaded like 3, 4, 5 trailers worth in that day. Not us.
No, I was like, bro, we did
a trailer, but over the course of that day, they moved like 5 trailers worth of.
I know they went back for one.
Yeah,
we unloaded one, and then they left to go get back.
Right, I think they ended up ultimately doing 2 more.
Oh, 2 more trips.
I think they did, but.
Did you go help again?
No, we were done at that point. They just hired those guys to do the rest.
Yeah.
So anyway, no podcast. But it was fun. That was
it's cool.
It was
we had breakfast.
Yeah, not what I expected to do, but
no, I won't lie. Because I was like, let me get a workout in this, so I got on top of the trailer. Because that's kind of a workout.
Oh yeah,
grabbing the bricks, put them in the front.
Oh
and I would get off and go sometimes.
High intensity.
And so I was like, I was kind of sore.
My knee was jacked up. Like my knee hasn't hurt in a long time, and I was like thinking, like I think I've worked out enough that my knee doesn't hurt anymore. Yeah. No, it hurt.
When you think you're there, life tells you you're not.
Yeah, especially when you're
that's something to live by, people.
Yeah, I'm gonna be that guy when you turn 36. I didn't even make it to 40.
Dude,
my body's falling apart.
No, but I want to say the same happened to me. I was like late 30s, and like that's when I like hurt this thumb.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm like off of catching a football.
Yeah.
But the guy threw it like he was fucking trying to strike someone out.
Right.
You know what I mean? It was like a short pass. And so he threw it like.
He blasted it at you.
Yeah, for sure. And I was in the middle and I went like this to catch it. And it just.
Yeah.
And I could feel it go.
Ouch. Yeah, my knees, I don't know what it is about them. Probably the fact I never stretched
when I was too much.
Younger and, But I do take a joint supplement now.
Oh, okay.
My doctor was like,
yeah, no, that's good for you.
You probably want to do it now so that you have longevity. I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll do that.
That same doctor, our doctor?
Yeah, our doctor. Yes.
He actually says bone broth is what athletes uses.
Yeah, he said that's the most natural way. But then he said, because I'm not going to chug bone broth every morning.
It's so good.
He did say that there is a good one, a good pill at Costco that you can get.
Is it a glucosamine kind of?
I don't know.
Because that like does stuff to the joints.
Yeah, I don't even know. It just is like a joint supplement. It says it's Kirkland brand joint.
And it's fully loaded with THC. Fully loaded.
It has so many joints in there.
You got CBD and THC.
Yeah.
No, I got bone broth from Yokes, and occasionally I'll like fill up a cup and warm It's fucking good. It's not salty at all. It's like
yeah.
It's
gives you some good stuff for the body.
Yeah, but I like tea, so I've been drinking tea a lot again.
Yeah,
and so, but I like that stuff.
Right,
my foofy drinks, some tea.
Yeah. I drink tea in the evenings instead of coffee if I feel like I want to drink, and I'm actually trying not to drink as much because.
Drink as much tea?
Well, just like say it's a normal work day, right? So sort of the way my day plays out in the morning, I get myself I have a pretty big thermos that I drink out of. So I have a pretty big thermos of green tea, and then midday I have coffee to just kind of carry me through the rest of the day. And then I get home and I usually am going to go work out, so I fill up my big water bottle full of water, and then. What had been happening is maybe I'll have like a cup of some other kind of tea at night to kind of calm down or whatever. Uh-huh. Well, then I'm up all night peeing.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's just like too much liquid.
Dude.
So
it's funny you bring that up because
that back a bit.
Last night, I got up to go to the bathroom. This sounds like an old ass man.
I know. Podcast. I feel like well,
my prostate's been in.
My knee hurts and I piss all night.
I think my prostate's swollen, pressing against my bladder.
Yeah. Oh man.
No, because I went to the bathroom a lot, but I didn't drink that much water, and I was like, well, "Where's this fucking coming from?" Seriously,
man.
Maybe it's that shower I took. All that I soaked in all that water.
Absorbed all the water through your skin. Yeah. It was osmosis.
I didn't drink that much water yesterday, but did I drink later at night? Because I didn't have my tea. I usually have like a turmeric tea.
Oh, okay.
And then I didn't have any of that, so
yeah.
I don't know, but I was like, Jesus
H. Christ.
Like, and it wasn't like yellow. It was clear. Like I've been drinking water. I was like, oh no, I did drink some water actually before I had to go to bed.
Yeah.
Drink a pretty.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
So you just got talking about
mystery solved.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't know. So it's a nice thing. Like, I have some of those teas that are supposedly like chamomile or whatever that are supposedly supposed to help you relax. So I have some of those. There's one really good one. I don't remember the name.
You need to get one that's it's called Sleepy Time.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That one's probably the best.
Yeah. It doesn't make me fall asleep. But...
No. It doesn't. It's like relax. I use 2 tea bags though.
Oh yeah. I always make it strong.
Yeah, I do double tea bags when I do tea bags.
I'll bet you
do. I do. Hey.
I typically like a lot of flavor. I like to pack my stuff with flavor. So coffee I usually make pretty strong and that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's so weird. I've been the last at least month, my anxiety has been higher than it has been a long time. And just now us talking about things kind of made me, I think I know kind of what happened.
Mm-hmm.
So, over summer, everybody that listens knows the story that I got some news about health and stuff. I kind of like kicked into high gear, dropped a lot of weight, been working out, doing all this. Well, I think just sort of, when you get that like kind of like adrenaline rush or whatever in life, you have these times like you meet somebody new or whatever,
those endorphins
where like everything has you so elevated. Like my survival instinct kicked in, so I'm like, I'm gonna eat right, do this, do that, and just kind of that rush kept me going for months. I mean, up until about Christmas.
Well, of course.
And then all of a sudden I've had that where the last few weeks I'm just like, I don't know what's wrong. I don't feel that great. I don't like, my mood is just,
you're not as motivated to like go exercise.
Well, I have been like, I haven't behaviorally, I've kept everything the same. It's just I feel anxiety again, which I hadn't felt in a long time. Oh, shut up, phone. I feel, just a lot of uneasiness. And it's really odd just because I haven't felt that way. And since before we started this podcast, honestly, like it's been a long time. And all of a sudden feel this. And I'm thinking like, well, I had that whole period of time where I was kind of living in this like dream universe, right?
Yeah.
Like,
I'm going to die in a minute.
I got to save myself.
I'm going to die.
So, it's like, I don't know. And so it has been an interesting January. January is always interesting anyway. January is always kind of that like bleh month.
Maybe that's how I am right now.
I mean, I try not to just waste it because some of a lot of what the shows I've talked about, or like whether it's the Phil Stutz thing or whether it was Limitless or whatever.
Yeah,
a big point in that is take the time you have and enjoy the time you have. So I am legitimately trying to do that. But January just has so many kind of downer moments.
I know they say to do that, but it's not obviously easy to just be like, oh, okay.
If it were, then I wouldn't have to give that advice.
Okay. Yeah. I'll enjoy it. But it's so hard to like trick yourself sometimes.
There are so many unenjoyable. My brother, they're doing the whole, like the whole 30, but it's whole 45. They're doing like the true Whole Foods for 45 days, like no sugar at all.
That's what my buddy Ephraim's doing. Like they do. Well, they've done that. Where they like, remember I was telling you, they look even at the ingredients, and if there's anything that is a sugar, they're like,
well, so for example, bacon. I didn't realize normal bacon off the shelf, they put sugar in it.
Yeah.
No idea, because I didn't want to know, and now I know. So no more bacon. But
see, no, that's the thing though.
No, I do. I will eat bacon, but
it's not like you eat it daily.
But I'm proud of him though. Because my brother, he's a police officer. He's in the car a lot. It's bad hours. They're up. They do night shifts and high stress and all that. So it's like, life expectancy is not all that high for most of those guys. So I'm like, well, I'm glad that you're doing something to help kind of kickstart taking care of yourself. But anyway, the joke that he was making was like, he's like there's really no point to life. He's like, it's so boring without anything fun. He's like, because he can't eat anything. So he's like, I just made myself a huge pot of coffee last night at 10 o'clock and I just drank coffee. He's like, there, and I realized life pretty much sucks.
Kind of.
I'm like, well, I mean, truly,
if you're trying to maintain shit and trying to be like healthy, it's
the mastery of life is really like not even finding joy, but finding peace with not having joy at any given point in time, right? Like and that's back to that Phil Stutz thing. I haven't read all the book. I haven't read a lot of it, but I've read a little bit, and it's kind of
mine's coming Wednesday.
Okay, it's interesting, and I've been listening to a podcast of a guy that is a psychologist and a professor. And it's interesting to listen to him too, because he's like, he gave advice on don't look for a straw man. Like, with the idea of Phil Stutz, like he is a therapist with a point of view and a framing.
Yeah.
And so he's like, and I was like, okay, that makes sense. Like, don't put this guy on this pedestal. Like, he has all the answers. So I'm reading his stuff kind of through that lens of like, being open-minded and critical, not just looking for like the answer.
That's how I live life.
But yeah, right. I mean, typically I'm kind of that way anyway.
I'm already that way.
If something resonates with me, I like to look at it. But
for sure.
If it's very easy for me to turn that from like, oh, this is great, to like, ooh, I don't really like that.
Yeah. Well, you almost got rid of bacon right now.
I know, just because of a little bit of sugar.
There's sugar.
That's
totally... like, are you kidding me?
Yeah. No, bacon's wonderful. No, I just didn't realize.
I get what you're saying, though.
Yeah, but anyway, what was I even talking about?
You're talking about the Phil Stutz and stuff, and you were talking about looking at things in a different lens.
Yeah, and what I like about the way he gives you these, well, he calls them tools. We talked about that. But like, his framing makes sense to me so far. Like the way that he puts these principles out, I'm like, okay, I get that, and I get how that's a skill. But to your point, bless you. To your point, that's all right. You got to sneeze. That's life. That's living in the moment.
It feels good though.
It does.
Sneezing, I just
a third of an orgasm I hear.
That's almost half
if you do three,
is it got full blown?
It's equal. But yeah, like one of the things that there's a point that he talked about that is so true. Is like, one thing that you'll never avoid in life is pain.
Yeah.
And like, you need to learn to accept the pain and then not like be masochistic about it where you like right, like not like unhealthy, but like
that's not
you
unhealthy.
Invite the pain as just a part of life.
You accept,
and you kind of dare it on as like, I'm going to grow from this. You accept that the only way to grow is through pain, and I feel like I'm doing that a lot right now. Like, bring it on. I want to be better.
That's good though, right?
Yeah, it kind of sucks, but it's good.
Yeah, I can't get there. Yeah. I'm not motivated in life at all right now.
No, are we kidding? Are you
I'm dead
really
serious.
feeling that way?
No, I'm dead serious. Yeah, no.
Motivation's a hard thing.
I don't want to hang out with people. I really care less about people.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah. Like, I really don't want to do shit.
Yeah.
And then I think it's like work. I'm trying to, like, I'm getting tired of work. I'm just like, fuck, man. This is all I got.
You start looking at the big picture. This is my life.
This is it. Yeah. Like, this sucks. Yeah. But no, I just haven't been like motivated to do shit. Like, so I'm trying to get that back. And I'm slowly getting there, but it's just
but it's effort, right? It's like every day you're like,
yeah. Because
work, kind of in the same spot.
I'm getting shit for work because people don't do their job, so it comes downhill, right?
Yeah.
Now it's my fault. And so that's getting annoying. And then so like I had to tell like my team, like, you know what, guys, you need to do this because if I'm gonna get in trouble, fuck that. Like, you guys, I'm gonna write you guys up. Like, this ain't like, I'm not cool with that. I'm not getting in trouble because you guys ain't doing your job. Like, that's not okay for me.
Right.
Like, how's that fair?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, fuck you guys.
Yeah.
And so I found myself like, okay, fuck this job. I was telling Nick too. We went to lunch, or no, we were texting or something. I was like, no, man, fuck this job. I don't even care. I don't want to work here anymore. I don't even want to work at this like everything's coming at me like
right.
For the last like 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks, or something. I'm like, fuck it. Fuck this job. I want to do something else. But it's that you had talked about before the podcast. You were saying stuff about like school tests came in, right?
Yeah.
And you felt like you were in the bottom of the pack or whatever, or not the bottom, but you feel like everyone's so much up here, right?
I perceive it that way because of my framework of self.
So
I'm hypercritical.
No, so that's how I am. But then to get validated, that's how it is too.
Right.
Like,
it's
kind of a gut punch, and then it's just like, fuck this. I don't want to deal with this.
Right.
But then I'm like, no.
That's
instead of running, right? Instead of running and getting a new job, let me deal with this and see if I can get through this.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's what I'm trying to do now. And it's annoying, but it's like, let's just see because it's like just when I'm taking these steps, then all of a sudden something happens and it's like, well, so I thought I started doing good after me and my boss had a talk, and then I had to, write one of my texts up, and I had to tell him like, this next one's a final written, like, I want you to succeed is how I was telling him. Like, I want you to succeed. I want good things for you. I don't like to do this, but I need you to also step it up and
right.
Answer people, talk to them, whatever.
Yeah.
And I think it's because it's busting me out of
the comfort zone,
my comfort zone. And it's not me. I'm not the disciplinary type. Like, I'll snap at kids and I'll do that, but I'm also not the very like, oh, go.
You're not a type A, like it's my way or the highway. You're gonna do this.
Yeah, I'm not, whatever. So I don't like that confrontation shit. I don't like any of that.
It's out of it's out of sort of the I totally
I don't know how to deal with some of that shit. Like I'm honest. I talked to Alicia about this stuff too. I don't know how to deal with some of this stuff because it's like, through my life, I probably avoided it at some point in my life, right?
Yeah.
Or like drama. Usually, if drama hits, I'm like, I don't like drama, so I'll back away from it.
Right.
So if I associate something with drama, that's my sense. It's like, no, I don't want to deal with this. This is too much drama. Like I don't like feeling like that.
Yeah.
It's like a feeling.
Yeah. No, I totally get it.
And so that was like, so I started. I haven't been drinking, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's been about a month now, but I smoke here and there, like daily, and then like daily here and there. It's just usually at night most of the time. I don't like really do anything during the day, but like I'll smoke at night. So I was having like a moment when I was stoned, right? Like, what it is? I'm running, man. And that was a stoned moment where I was just like, that's not you. You don't run from stuff. Because I thought back to high school when I had teachers tell me I'm like basically going to fail. You're a failure. They didn't say that, but just the way they acted towards me.
Yeah. You felt like that was
like a teacher always on me for something that I had no idea about, or like one teacher tell me like, oh, don't bother trying. You're going to fail this class anyway. Yeah, like that's a straight up teacher like said
Poor teaching.
Miss Weaver. Anybody in high school?
Miss Weaver, come on.
She's a bitch. But anyway, she told me that, and so anyway,
she was probably drinking a lot at that.
And I don't know why. So I wasn't like a drama kid. I wasn't a.
She didn't cause trouble.
I was not the class clown. I'm like Elena and JJ when it comes to school. I'm quiet. Like I'll talk to my friends and shit, but like for the most part, I'm not like disrupting. That wasn't who I was.
Right.
But anyway, another teacher told me, you're gonna fail this class. And I remember what I told that teacher though. I was like, oh no, I ain't failing. Watch me. Watch me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, fuck you. And so
I'll Michael Jordan this shit.
Yeah, like fuck you telling me I'm gonna like when he told me that, like he didn't tell me in the way she told me. He told me in a different. I can't remember exactly how he had said it, but I was just like, no. I go, no, I'm not. No, I'm gonna pass this class.
So really, he motivated you.
Well, it motivated, in a way, it motivated me to be like, no, like fuck that. He was one of our coaches. I think that's what it was, though, because he was like, he was one of the football coaches, and I think he was on. I think Mr. Powers was one of the not cross country, but track coaches.
Okay.
And I ran track for all through high school,
right?
And I mean, I ended up failing anyway.
Well, but you said, at least you said, watch me.
Yeah. But I tried.
You watch me while I fail.
Yeah, you watch front row seats, buddy.
Here's your ticket.
So in my school, it was an ABC fail.
Okay.
You didn't get D's.
Really?
Yeah. That was it.
Anything below the cut score was just.
It was it. I had a 69.8.
Well, that makes it kind of hard.
I had a 69.8 or 9.
Yeah.
And I needed a 70 to pass. And so I failed.
And they didn't even buffer you in?
Nope.
Wow.
I think it's because I had told him, like, well, fuck you.
Yeah, watch
I didn't say fuck you.
Yeah, well, I would let him fail too.
No, I didn't say fuck you, but I was just like, no, watch me. I just said, like, that's what I remember saying. Yeah. And so that, like, for me, what I'm getting at is that's where I'm trying to remember that kid. And that's when I was stoned. I was like, all right, now let's not run from this.
Right.
Let's embrace it. Let's embrace it. Let's embrace it and see what we can do. And I'm like learning still because I'm a very unorganized person. I procrastinate. And so like I see those things, but I'm trying to like figure them out. Like I know I'm going to be procrastinating. I'm okay with that. But the unorganizing part, I'm trying to figure out. Like,
I got you.
How do I organize things or organize this or do this?
Yeah.
And so
I'm very much with you. Like, so
I've been hating my job because of it.
I don't hate my job. So I don't want to come out sounding, like I do, because I don't. But like any job, you get periods of time where just like periods of time where you feel motivated and good about things, and times where you feel like it's a struggle. Like You're not.
Well, that's what it was.
Zone, and that's kind of where I've sort of found myself is like this more self-doubt than I've had in a long time.
Oh yeah.
Kind of hitting that wall of being like, so last year was a really rough year. I had a lot of kids that had lots of needs, and the mix, the kids themselves were fine, but together as a group, there were just a lot of dynamics with them. And it was like a constant battle of management with the whole thing.
Yeah.
But every one of my kids made growth. Like by the end of the year, everybody met their goals.
Yeah.
And I felt amazing about that. And I kind of felt like I have figured it out.
Yeah,
I got this in the podcast. I've said it this year in the podcast. Like I got my work figured out.
I'm dialed in, baby.
Well, this is the thing about life and
Life's
about
like,
reality.
Fuck you.
You have it figured out one time.
Yeah.
The whole algorithm changes. And you keep working through it. Now, I'm not saying that I haven't put work into it, because I have. I mean, I give weekends and I give nights and
and you do.
I put extra time in. So it's not that, but it's like I have done some different things this year that I really felt good about. I had anecdotal evidence. I had in-class test scores, different data pieces. I was like, we're moving in a good direction. Like even compared to last year, I feel good about this.
Yeah.
Winter testing comes along. And I get the scores back, and it's like a 50-50 split.
Oh.
My high kids are high, and my middle kids, they're growing, but some kids aren't growing like I thought or wanted.
Yeah.
And I've got a couple kids that are just, they didn't show. Like, and I'm thinking, what the hell happened?
Yeah.
And you start turning it on you. Like how bad you are, and I'm looking at everybody else's scores in my group as we're going through them, and I'm comparing myself. Oh, you've got like this many and this, and I'm doing the math in my head of just how shitty I am, and my whole self-focus is you're just this fake piece of garbage. Like shouldn't be doing this because you're just ruining all these kids. Like it goes to this really self-negative place.
Oh, for sure. That's where I've been.
And it's hard at first. I do have a pretty, like you're saying, like pretty much like an attack mentality of it. Like, okay, it's a problem. We're going to look at it, and we're going to, like, education. That's really what it is.
Yeah.
Data comes in, it looks bad. You look at the piece that's bad and you make a plan and you attack it. Yeah, it's like, you can almost be military about it. Like
reading
strategic strike,
over here. Yeah.
So I mean, like this particular sub skill of reading is where this kid struggles.
Yeah.
So they need more in that. But then the hardest part with teaching, I think, is like, it's like keeping a bunch of plates spinning all at once.
Yeah.
I am not a multitasker.
I'm not.
So trying to figure out ways to manage the entire class while trying to find times to help and pull the kid aside and do. that's a challenge for me. I don't have everything I need for that.
So I can't attest to like the whole like with kids, but the way you describe it is like how for me it is, because I have 9 people,
right?
Which it's nowhere near the 20 or whatever.
Well, no, but
kids.
I get it.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter year to year, by the way. It could be 9, it could be 20. It always feels the same.
So like, I have to balance that same thing, right, to have this like moment where I got to talk to them about certain things, maybe,
right,
or
right,
or even just say, hey, you're doing a great job, let's keep it up, stuff like that,
right.
But then also trying to, I'm moving all these other pieces, and so when I'm moving all these other pieces, I find myself not being able to maybe
balance it out, right?
Balance it to talk, and I'm trying to figure that out, and it's it's annoying.
It can be very overwhelming, and then you can get caught in the feeling of like, well, I'm just like failing this. Like there was something I really wanted and meant to do that was important like a month ago, and it dawned on me the other day I hadn't done it, and I'm every day dealing with this scenario where I'm like, I got it. Like this is just driving me nuts, and all of a sudden I'm like, you were going to order these things and you never did, and that. I don't know that it's going to help, but it's one possibility of something that will help. So I had to like right then stop myself. Luckily, the kids weren't in the room, so I was able to do it. Emailed down, do I have the classroom funds for this? And they're like, yep. So like, please order them. Yeah. All right, done, checked off. But it happens, and it happens at the worst times, because when your brain starts getting overwhelmed with everything else, you're just not. I don't think I've been at my peak efficiency over the last. And then I think about it. I've been so health focused.
You're not focusing on.
I really think, even though I've been focused on work last year was like, and our podcast and stuff and family and all that, but like,
well, yeah, of course.
Really, work was a huge focus, and I think this year, just my brain was not looking.
And do you think it's because you guys, when you got those test results or something last year, and you saw that you
I think the end of the year,
you're like, oh no, we're gonna do.
Well, this. I felt great. I felt like, okay, I'm finally like that expert guy. Like I know what I'm doing, and I do. I mean, I remind myself, even though I can make myself feel like, oh, you're like worthless and don't know anything. I realize, no, you do know some stuff. Like you are a real teacher, and like I haven't completely failed my kids. They didn't do really bad. I mean, they actually,
you weren't the last on the list.
They turned out the way you would expect kids to turn out. I mean, honestly, but it's just, you want to be able to pull them all up all at once.
For sure.
It doesn't always happen that way. Data, you know how data works,
dude. I like that. I hate that word.
And I've learned to like data. In the beginning of my career, I'm like, oh my god, it just felt like all you're going to do is tell me what I didn't, because I focus on the negative too much.
Well, no, like I have to figure out how to do data on certain things for my boss, because he's a very data driven,
right?
And I understand it, and right. I make that a point. I do understand that data is important. There's certain things that I don't think data can tell about people.
See, that's it. You have to be careful with data.
So my guy, it's more like, I need data on this and this, but I'm like, I don't know how to like explain to him, like, well, I can't give you data on how they are with customers or talking to customers,
because there is no data.
Like I can give you a survey. In the survey, maybe the customer might say, but in reality, what happens in surveys, people just hit 3, 5 or whatever, and then they just leave it at that.
Right.
Occasionally, you get the person that's going to comment.
Right.
Most of the time, you don't get comments. You know what I mean? Like you're not getting.
People are doing it as a courtesy, and they figure, I've done my part. You're done. Like
yeah. But to account for certain things, but like we get a lot of data, and so I'm happy to like. My boss is like, well, you need to figure out how to get the data for that. I'm like, okay.
So you have to create the data.
So like I talk to Nick a lot, because he has that mindset of data,
analytical data.
Yeah, he's very analytical. I'm not that way. I'm like an idiot with that stuff. Like that's not my strong.
Because you said that's not my strong. You like being in the field. You like actually helping with the stuff out there, right?
If the world was going to end and they needed to pick people, they needed scientists. I wouldn't make the list, right?
Neither would.
I'm not a teacher. I'm not a scientist. I'm the grunt. I'm a grunt. Like that's what I'm good at. Working. Like that's how I feel. Like that's how I feel. So I'm like, I'm good with people, and I'm like a grunt. I'm a laborer.
Yeah.
in my heart.
Yeah, I'm not saying like I agree.
Yeah. No,
you're right. You're right. That is all you are.
But like like the analytical thinking, that kind of stuff, like that's not like the way I process things, And like well, I'm trying to learn some of it, but and I'm not like I'm not an idiot, because when I do like learn certain things, I can figure things out quickly. Right. I'm when I actually focus on stuff, I can figure shit out pretty
absolutely
pretty quick.
Right.
But it's just so boring, some of that shit, But like to get to that point is, I don't think that way through. I don't think this way and that way. I think this way and this way. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, one thing I found,
I could get to that same answer, but it's my route's a little different.
Right. Well, and I, sort of what I've been doing this week, because I'm feeling like I'm kind of pulling myself back to the place I need to be, where we're actually really looking at it as the problem and pinpointing and fixing the, finding the solution. And I shouldn't say problem, because this is what it is. Data shows weak spots, and every kid's going to have them, and you just tailor it and you attack it. So I'm getting back there. And one of the things that I've been doing, I was listening to a bunch of different podcasts on just random topics, like, just for fun. And I went for a long walk the other night with the dogs. I thought, you know what? I'm stewing on this. And for me, it's like a control thing. Things don't come back the way I wanted. I feel completely out of control, start to feel like helpless. And instead of looking at it as dive into it and figure it out, I look at it as overwhelming, and I kind of shut down a little bit on it. So I'm like, all right, I found this like teacher podcast where this reading teacher just talks about strategies in the classroom stuff, things I've heard before. Yeah. But there's so much stuff to know and be good at.
Oh yeah.
I mean, like anything.
Like I can do that. I'll be good at it.
Yeah. I mean, like there's hearing it, knowing it, and then there's like really deeply knowing how to apply everything, or remembering to apply everything. Yeah. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to immerse myself in it. Like I'm just going to, if I'm already stewing on it, I might as well do something that's going to make me feel like I'm gaining control. So that whole time I just listened to episode after episode of her little podcast. And I was like, I felt better at the end, because I felt like I put myself in a position where I was pulling out information that I was seeking.
Yeah.
So instead of, like for you with data, you'd probably feel a sense of control by doing a little research on data or something, like, like attacking it, like really facing it and being like, okay, this is why I feel like shit. So I'm all in, like I'm going at it. And it helped. I mean, I think I'm at that spot right now where I have to now put my focus, and I have to remember, because I can be an all or nothing type guy, so that I can pull away from the family, which I don't want to do, because I have a real tendency to do that. And Blanca is very good at reminding me,
like, hey,
and it's true. It's true. Like, you have to be there for your family. You can't,
for sure.
If it comes down to great test scores and my family life sucks, I'll take mediocre test scores. I mean, not mediocre, but
screw them kids.
No, I don't. Don't get me wrong. I want my kids to make it, but there always has to be balance in life. But I feel like I need to reshift a lot of focus back into that. I kind of, again, I got the plate spinning for health and fitness. Like compared to where I was, I don't eat perfectly, but I generally eat fine. And I have an exercise routine. I do it. I'm consistently doing it. So like, I'm not in the headspace of like, don't give up, don't stop. And like that worry that I'm going to let that fall. I know now I enjoy it. I know what days of the week I tend to do it the most. I usually get something in most days of the week. So I'm like, all right, that's going. Yeah. Now my energy and my focus needs to be really heavy on looking at this stuff, really thinking about it, improving myself in that area of life, and
hell yeah,
get running.
I know. I don't,
and you can do it too, man.
I don't exercise, but like 2-3 days a week. And then even then, I'm like, I don't really want to exercise anymore. Like I'm ready to just give up on everything. Like,
man,
I'm gonna become fat again. No, I'm not gonna do that again. But no,
but that's
I just don't want to do anything.
When you start to feel like things are kind of out of control, like that lost feeling, it's overwhelming.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And I am an avoider. Like if something is painful, if something is kind of scary, or if I feel like it's confirming the negative that I feel about myself, that's where, even though I still see it and it's there in front of me, I do things to kind of deny it, which then just makes it worse because there's then more negative. Because instead of attacking it so that I can process it and be like, I now have evidence that shows that's not true. Yeah. I'm just continuously telling myself that narrative.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I get it.
It's hard. It's hard because it is like I told my cousin, I think it was Thursday, was like my lowest.
Okay.
And I just told her, I'm like, I feel like my entire self-confidence is totally wrapped in those scores.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I'm like, I get this data back after feeling like things were going to be great.
And then you're like, ugh. That's like thinking you passed the test and only to find out you didn't really pass the test like you thought.
But I can anecdotally look at, like, okay, so there's the official data that comes in. You don't see it all the time. You see it like 3 times a year, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you do like these weekly or like there's these kind of unit tests that you give kids, these cold read tests.
Okay.
First grade.
Yeah.
I have a kid that made only 5 points of growth, which I know that doesn't mean anything to anybody, but that's not substantial. Like, okay, there's growth, but that's like not what you're looking for.
You want to see like more.
You want to see at least probably 10 points, right?
Okay.
Somewhere around there. Some kids can make into like 30s of growth, right?
Oh, geez.
I mean, not most kids, but it happens. And I had some of those. I had some real high growth and I had some, medium growth, which is great. And I had some like this one particular kid that just didn't show well. But then he takes this cold read where you don't read anything to him. You give him this like these articles, these questions, and they go through and they do it all on their own. He got 14 out of 15.
Just killed it.
So I'm like, that evidence, what was I supposed to do with that? This kid's consistently showing what he can do, and then this one test out of nowhere makes it look like he can't do it. So I'm like, I got to remember sometimes data points are data points.
Tests, I don't know. I think tests are stupid.
Well, tests, I mean,
certain tests. Obviously, I get what this is.
But I mean, I understand because I was not a good test taker. But it's like remembering the reality within all this stuff. I mean, like there is a center point where you have to get out of your ego with it and look at it for what it is. It's the emotions of life that get in the way of the reality. Like we perceive it in a way that really blocks us from being able to see what it really is. It's like Oz. It's like the curtain, the man behind the curtain.
I was thinking the show.
Do you remember the show? Oz, or people shanking each other and
shanking and raping each other.
But did you ever watch that, man? I remember when it was on, but I was a Sopranos guy, so I never watched Oz.
I just seen a couple episodes. I remember when I was younger, and it was crazy.
Grade.
Yeah,
we got HBO for free somehow. My dad even called the cable company and they're like, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know how I saw this show.
Yeah, I heard it was great. I remember 6 Feet Under too.
See, and I remember seeing like an episode of that before.
Yeah,
and it was that's when they had the funeral home.
Yeah, it was kind of a quirky show.
Yeah. So I never really got into that or the Oz or the Sopranos.
Yeah. I loved The Sopranos.
But like I said, like I don't know if we had that stuff growing up.
Actually, Sopranos is taking me to something else. So Blanca had never watched The Godfather, right?
Oh, wow.
And I talked last time about the show The Offer.
Yeah.
And I looked into it because like you're watching and you're like, it's so exciting because when you know the movie, which is such an iconic movie, they never.
So The Offer, is that a Godfather spinoff?
No, it's not a spinoff. The Offer.
I mean, is it like
it's supposedly the backstory of the creating and the making of The Godfather.
Oh, okay.
So you follow this guy Al Ruddy that was the real life producer of the movie.
Oh.
So he produced a TV show MASH, not MASH. Was it MASH? No, Hogan's Heroes.
Okay, yeah.
And then from there, he got himself into Paramount, and his first job, at least according to the show, was The Godfather. And he kind of learned how to do movie production through the making of The Godfather. But there was a ton of chaos and issues that happened. I looked into it because, like, as you're watching, you're like, that makes so much sense for the movie, like, or wow, that's insane. I never knew that there was that connection. So I looked into it because I was like, really?
Some of this, I think you might have said something.
Maybe. I don't remember what I said last time, but I was kind of skeptical about some of it, but it was a really good story.
Yeah.
So I looked it up, and yeah, that's kind of what it is. Like, it's not, you can't look at it and be like, oh, that's what happened. It's definitely a narrative written out of a lot of elements of
maybe a little bit of that was
but
there.
It was it's such a fun show because, you know, if you know The Godfather, you know the iconic scenes, and they set it up where they're on set and you can see the set and you're like, I know what they're filming. They never show you what they're filming. They just show
like the
you
scene with Sonny getting shot up.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of stuff. Like, they'll show you, for example, the oranges. If you know the scene with the oranges that spill, and when he dies, when Corleone gets shot, right? Yeah. They are setting that up. Like, they're literally putting the oranges in a basket and getting ready to shoot, and you're seeing the producer dealing with this shit in the background and coming up to them and saying, like, hey, this thing just worked out, or like, yeah, we can't do that, and they're all pissed off, and then boom, like this goes, or it wasn't supposed to happen that way, and then this happens. And so it really makes you kind of feel like you're seeing it. They never show you. They show all the actors getting ready. They show everything around it, but then you'll see them just action, and then they're sitting there watching, and you don't see the scene because you already know what the scene looks like.
Yeah.
They did it really well that way, where even though it's probably not at all what really happened, like, it's just such a good story around it.
Now it is what really happened.
Yeah, I mean, to you. Yeah. And the caution is, you really do, in this article I read this morning to see, because this guy, he was kind of in the same boat. Like, I'm a history guy, so I like to think of things as like, this is what it was. And the guy that actually produced it, he's a movie guy. So he would take the stories that Al Ruddy told, and then he would twist the narrative in the most compelling way.
Yeah.
So things are out of sequence. There were connections made that weren't real, but it makes a hell of a story. Long story short with that, it got Blanca really wanting to watch The Godfather, because, you know, you like see things, and if you've never seen it, it makes like, no sense, really. Yeah. It's like, okay, this car blew up. Like, wow. She thought that wasn't supposed to happen. But then he was smiling, so I guess that was what was supposed to happen. Which, if you know the movie, you know when the car blows up. Bless you.
Damn it.
But so anyway, last night she wanted to watch it, so we watched it, and it was so much fun to watch it with her, because I forgot. I haven't watched it in years.
I haven't watched it in a while. Yeah, it's been years.
I forgot how much I love that movie.
It's good.
And it was like a brand new audience. Like, being there with her the first time, not knowing anything about it, watching her react. Anytime a major character dies, she was like, I like shocked. No. Okay. Spoiler alert. When Sonny gets shot.
Yeah.
She saw the door to
swing
the
open.
Little thing. Yeah. You know how they're hiding inside of the toll booth gate.
Yeah.
And they open the windows and the guns come up. She's like, no. And then the car backs up and they pull their guns up. And she's like, get down. And yelling at the screen. I'm like, this is so much fun.
So animated.
She was like so invested.
Yeah. It's such a good movie.
She wanted me to answer certain things. In the beginning, she's like, shut up, I'll see it. And then by the end, she's like, they kill him, right? You know, certain characters that she hates, she's like, they kill him, right? I'm like, I don't know.
Are you guys going to watch the other ones?
Yeah, well, the second one for sure. Third one, I mean, third one. I don't mean to shit on it. It had its value. I do think that there was something there.
I didn't really like.
It wasn't as good as the first.
He's like going to be the new Godfather.
Yeah.
What's his name? What's the actor's name? I didn't really care for him.
I can
Adrian Brody. No. Not Adrian Brody.
No, but he's a good actor.
He's a good actor.
Garcia.
Something Garcia.
Yes, Andy Garcia.
Garcia.
I like him. I don't understand the whole thing where they were cousins.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah,
there were some elements in there, and it's like, what?
Me and my mom, and I think my brother and sister.
Yeah.
One thing I do remember is we'd watch, like, it was like every year we'd watch all three of them.
Really? That's cool.
Yeah. Not every year, but like there'd be like we would, when we watched them, we'd watch all of them. We'd sit down. So it was pretty cool. Now I want to watch The Godfather. Sure.
It's on Paramount. No, it's on Peacock, and I guess it's on Amazon Prime. But such a good movie. And it's funny because there are definite moments in the movie where you can tell it's a movie.
Yeah.
Because, it was made in the 70s. So it wasn't CGI at all. Everything was like absolutely real. So there are moments, if you've watched it long enough, there's moments where like Sonny's getting shot and he's getting hit and there's no blood.
Yeah.
Or like, it's after that they put the blood in, or one of the packs doesn't explode. Like there are mistakes, but you can so easily forgive them and keep yourself immersed in this world. I mean,
because so much is happening.
And it's so much strategy and so much of like, I mean, you got Tom Hagen, who's like the lawyer, right? He's the consigliere for the family. And they're mad because they're at war. They shot this other family shot their dad, and Sonny's ready to go. And he's like, if you do this, and he's laying out like the repercussions, and you have to think about it. And you got guys that just want to go, and you got guys strategizing. And it's just the excitement of the whole thing. You get so immersed in it. I love movies that are super real. One thing I love about The Godfather is it makes the Italian mafia just feel like this super like respectable. It's the cinematic mafia.
Yeah.
It's the mafia you'd want to be in.
Oh yeah.
It's a family of honor.
Well, that's the reason I wanted to be in the mob.
Exactly.
It's because The Godfather.
I idolized, and I was like way too nice to ever survive that world. I did joke with Block and I go, you know who your mom is? Vito Corleone. I mean, all these people are coming to him for favors. He's like, you come to me and not as a friend. Like your mom is Vito Corleone. She doesn't kill people. She doesn't commit crime, but like she's always getting favors for people, and like but if she's done it for you, like she's coming back at some point. That day may never come, but she might call you Friday night.
I'll call upon you
for you to go Saturday morning to pick up bricks. Yeah, from just behind the mall.
Yeah. But it was in her defense, it was behind about 70 miles behind the mall.
You just keep driving after you hit the mall.
It was like 30 miles behind the mall, but still.
It was kind of fun, though.
It was cool. I liked it. I didn't mind that at all.
Yeah, so now I'm like totally into the whole mob thing again. I just gotten out of it, and I'm just like, I'm all in again.
What'd you get out of it? Well, no, you started playing GTA 5.
The mob stuff, like, it just, like, I've always been interested. I think because it's so anti my personality. It's like as an alter ego. I used to joke around my mob name would be Tommy Pariamo. Yeah. It would be like the Parmici family.
I'd probably be Lefty.
I had a whole little thing, and it's just so lame and stupid. But, like, I am not that kind of guy. I'm not the kind of guy, like, I can defend myself. I'll stand up for myself, but I'm always looking to get along with people, and I'm seeing their side
You'll
of it.
You'll try to talk it out.
And I work there because I realize in life, really, that's, in my view, the best way to do things. Like, you can bulldoze people, or you can kind of work with them. But these guys are just like, hey, you piss me off, I'll knock your head in. Like, there's
certain people that need bulldozing.
There are. You're right, and they're usually the ones that think you can just bulldoze everybody.
Exactly.
But
they need to be bulldozed.
But just to have that, like, oh man, yeah. Michael, I always loved the character of Michael Corleone. I idolized that because he was always so calm, cool, and collected. Yeah. And you look at him, and it's just like he's just the heir apparent. Like he's got that thing. He's got that.
He's just strategic.
He's reserved, and he can tell people the way it is. But he's not a jerk about it. He's got the Vito thing. Like he just. Man, I forgot how much I love that damn movie.
He's so young looking.
Well, so you watch the show they offer. The guy they got to play Al Pacino, he doesn't look exactly like if you compare him side by side. But
they did a good job.
Oh my god, you got to watch it. I mean,
I'll have to check that out.
He looks. You can so easily think like, oh my god.
What is that on now? Peacock.
That's on Paramount Plus, which makes sense because it's a Paramount. It's about Paramount.
Oh, okay,
yeah. I mean it. Don't watch it as historic fact, but they weave the story.
It's gonna be.
So I know mob history to a point, and I know, The Godfather, and watching the way that they blended like real mafia history with the making of this film, even though they crossed things that probably didn't really cross, the weaving of that story was just so fascinating.
That's cool.
Because I know what's going to happen to this major mafia guy in reality.
Yeah.
As all this stuff's going on, like, oh my God, like they're going to show this happen.
Yeah.
And they're going to tie it into the movie somehow.
Well, that's how, like, I've been watching, I've been watching The Last of Us. It's a video game that I had told you about.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You've played it, you said, a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
I forgot. Like, I love that game, that game series. Like, it's so good, and because it's so the story of it is just really like it gets you.
It's a very cinematic game.
It's very cinematic. Like, there's cutscenes that are like 20, 30 minutes long. Sometimes you're like, but you're invested. Like you say, you get invested. You're just in it. You're just watching. Like, oh fuck, and like certain things happen. You're like, oh, that's fucked up.
Right.
So like they did the show, The Last of Us, and what's cool, I know people are bitching that. Oh, he don't look like the main character. He don't look like Joel, but I think he kind of does. Yeah. But you know, she doesn't look like Ellie and all this stuff. And I'm like, okay, who cares? I'd rather have good acting for one.
Question: the voice actor for
Elliot Page.
Dad, or his dad, right?
Yeah, Ella. Her name was Ella Page back in the day,
right? So in that storyline, her dad, right?
Yeah. Well, it wasn't even her dad.
Oh, I thought it was.
No, he was like, he's what he is like not a drug runner, but you know, he to make money, you know, he'll go get guns and
But I remember the opening scene, right? They're in his daughter house.
Yeah, there's an opening scene where he's in the house with his daughter before the whole zombie thing happened.
That's right. It's not the same girl.
No, yeah.
Okay.
And then,
but wasn't that guy? He was at least I'm picturing it. Wasn't he the dad in Supernatural? The actor that plays the dad in Supernatural.
The voice?
Yeah.
No. The voice
actor. Why am I placing him in that?
The voice actor for Joel, he's actually going to be in the show, but I think he's going to be a bad guy.
Oh.
But the cool thing, what they did with that show is like some of the scenes are like side by side. You could see it's from the game.
Cinematography.
Yeah, which I thought was so cool. And so I was just like, oh, that's dope. Yeah. That they're pulling that scene from the game and actually putting it in the movie.
See, man.
Or in the show or whatever, you know?
Cinematography is such an
because they don't do that when they adapt like a game.
Not usually.
You know, that's usually like, we're just going to make it whatever it is. And so the fact that they're doing that, I was like, oh,
well, it ties you. In my view, when an audience already resonates with something, or when something resonates with an audience, the authenticity of getting the part that they've already identified with, right, is kind of crucial. Like, if you know a scene, I always have a hard time with continuing my disbelief or suspension of whatever they call that.
Yeah.
Suspension of disbelief or whatever, where you're willing to like buy in. When something doesn't match up to the story I already know, it really bothers me.
Well, that's like reading a book, and then you get the movie, and it's like, that was nothing like the book.
And I understand why they have to do that, because stories work differently when you're reading them than the way they play out on film. Like, I understand that. But like, when you already, for example, you have a scene in the game that you've watched.
Yeah.
You expect, if you're going to believe that there's a broader story and you're stretching that story out, when you're showing something the audience has already seen, it really does, in my view, have to match what they already saw if they're going to believe that everything else is a continuation.
Yeah, and they do a good job of that, because, like I said, not every scene that is shot in the show is a direct from the game.
Right.
But there is certain scenes that are like,
that line up.
Oh, that was... I didn't, so what happened is I watched the show, the pilot episode or whatever, and then I was like, I want to play the game again.
Yeah.
So I started playing the game,
and then you see things and
then I'm like, oh shit,
right?
That was in the show.
See,
and so like there's a scene where he's driving down the truck and he's going down the road with his brother, and they're running. You know, this when the outbreak starts, and they come to a sign that shows, you know, this way Austin, this way wherever, and in the show, same thing. They're coming down in the truck. They're driving in the game. It's a Jeep. In the show, it's a truck.
Yeah,
so, but
little difference. But
nothing.
That's the thing, is the core of the moment.
Yeah, but like all of a sudden they come and he says almost direct from the game, like, "Hey, you know, let's take this highway or whatever."
Right.
And I was like, when I played the game, I was like, "Oh shit, that's crazy."
See, they did it right, and that's how The Offer did it. They set a scene up. You see the actors there. You see the outfit they're wearing. You see everything happening. And you know the scene. So you know if they tried to reshoot the scene, it wouldn't be right, because
you're like, that's not how it happened.
So they don't.
Yeah, no,
they just show it getting ready, and then you see the director's face as he hollers action or whatever, or you see them reacting to the audio of it. So both cases, it sounds like they did it right. Because I mean, like, so for example, the truck versus the Jeep almost makes it more believable because you feel like the video game then actually came out of a real experience.
Yeah,
and instead of a truck, they turned it into a Jeep for the game. You almost can believe that the video game was an adaptation of this real event.
Yeah.
There's something about real. That's why I have a hard time when things get like, I'm kind of the opposite of you. Like, you like the sci-fi kind of fantasy stuff, and I have a harder time with that. I don't know. I get a very emotional connection when things feel grounded in some kind of depth of reality, even though I know it's fake.
Well, yeah, I like that. I don't, I know that it's fake, but I like the thought if that was real.
Right. I don't have the imagination, I guess.
Like for me, I'm like, that would be sweet if that
Except for with zombie stuff. I can, like, World War Z. The movie was okay, but the book,
movie I thought was pretty good. Yeah,
I love the book, and probably what we talked about earlier. I didn't suspend my issue. Like,
see, I didn't even know it was a book.
Oh yeah, yeah.
What is in a book though these days?
Well, I can't think of the guy's name.
Brad Pitt.
Schwartz. No, not Schwartz. Ah, shoot, Max something or other. Super famous comedian, his son. Anyway,
Andy Schwartz.
Forget it.
Forget it. I don't even know.
I am totally botching it. I will look it up and.
Yeah, you will have to look
up World War Z, because he writes. I love that book because it's written as like almost like if I remember right, it's been a long time.
It's like a diary.
It's like a diary. Yeah,
oh, that's cool.
That's
a cool read.
He's giving information step by step. He's interviewing scientists and he's interviewing people like it's a historic piece.
Yeah.
So he's like asking them questions and they're going into their story of what happened. It was really neat.
Oh, that's
really
cool.
Neat. And that's, I think, where I didn't like the movie as much, because he really was more of a narrative, if I remember the movie.
Wasn't he a reporter or something though?
Yeah.
And they were sending him over to somewhere, and then the movie was
right. So the book is more like a historic piece. Like, he's a historian that's going back to people and getting the information written down. In the movie, I think he was actually witnessing it, and it was just.
I got to watch the movie again,
but
I don't remember.
I feel like the book could be adapted very well into a show. No, maybe more of a show than a movie, because you could actually.
Well, that's like The Walking Dead was a comic,
right?
And so they made that a show, and they did pretty well. But I guess some of the stuff that's in the comics is a little more gruesome.
I'll bet.
Obviously, because you can. Cartoon blood is a little different than real.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's funny.
Like when Glenn died in it, like it's in the show, in the comic, he's like, it's pretty gruesome the way he dies.
Yeah.
So it's not quite as gruesome, but it's still pretty bad.
Well, because they also realize like
his eye was really out in the thing. It was crazy.
Well, they make it, they know the audience. For example, all right, spoiler alert. In The Sopranos, I won't give the name, I guess. There's a later season where Tony gets into basically a war with another boss.
Yeah.
And that boss is like a dick. You pretty much hate him. And so you want to see him die.
Yeah.
And there's a point where he gets whacked, but they don't leave it at that. The audience wants him to get whacked. So the car's not in park. And when he falls, his head goes under the tire and the tire smashes his head.
Oh.
And it makes you laugh. It's funny. I mean, as an audience who loves Tony and hates his enemy, you laugh because the way that they do it has an air of like a comical sense of like, yeah, fuck you.
Yeah.
To it. The beauty of it is it puts you as the audience in the seat of being a mobster that wants to see him die. You feel the emotions that Tony would feel, which is like exactly what you want to do as a filmmaker. I'm not a filmmaker, so that's my take on it, I guess.
Yeah. But I think that's
kind of the same thing there. Like the audience loves the character Glenn. They don't want him to die. So they're going to back off of that. And they're going to not show as much gore because the audience is going to get really turned off. They don't want to see a character they love.
Oh, and they love Glenn,
So, it's like, it makes sense. Visually, it's different in a film. Like, you're hearing them talk, you're seeing them live.
Yeah.
It's just different. Yeah. So... And I wish I could be a filmmaker. I feel like I'd be a really bad filmmaker because I don't know what I'm doing. But
hey, it'd be so fun. Cool. Me and my friend wrote I think we told about this before, but like, we wanted to make a movie.
Do you have the script?
Oh no!
Let's fucking make it. Let's do it. We got lights. We got a camera.
The only thing I remember is a ring spinning, and the guy grabs his ring. And
you told me about that.
Driving on the highway, and then a building blows up or some shit.
I had a mob,
and I was like, "Yeah."
Do you get those images in your head?
Oh, I had it. The image in my head did not match. Like when I wrote it out, I was like,
I have the beginning of a mob movie in my head. It's based on my grandfather, not because he was in the mob, but just what he would have.
Or was he?
I have this image of a telephone really close to the screen. So it goes from black, opens up, and there's a telephone on a table. And it's what's in frame. Like it's the focus.
Yeah.
And there's a image of a man in the back laying on the couch, just kind of like taking a nap or whatever. He's in a wife beater and like slacks or whatever. But he's not in focus, so he's like fuzzy.
It's like blurred out.
The phone rings, and it's an old-fashioned phone.
Yeah, old-fashioned like this one?
Not that old, but like 60s, like the plastic, pick it up, like home phone on the table. Not a little, not like crank dial. It's got buttons, but it's like the old-fashioned type where you put it down on top.
Ping,
and it's ringing, and you can see him out of focus, get off the couch. And he walks up to the screen, so you kind of see his stomach and the phone get picked up, and you're like, yeah. You hear like there's nothing that you're hearing, but you know that he's like a hitman or something, and he's getting a call, and that's gonna start the whole thing. The phone clicks down, and it goes back to black. Blast of music. The name of the movie comes up, and you start the whole
The Hitman,
right? I mean, like that's all I have, but like.
We're just gonna write intros.
I have the little like book I wrote over summer.
Oh yeah,
that character's Paul Rudd. I have the whole. All I care about is just if I can get Paul Rudd.
Is that the one you sent us?
Yeah, I was drunk because it's back when I wasn't healthy.
How many pages was that?
God, too many. No, it was like
I don't remember.
I drank a little bit and I was smoking a cigar and I just started writing and I wrote out like 12 pages probably. But the only part I care about, I have this idea and I don't remember stuck in my head.
Because we read some of it, didn't we?
You did. Paul Rudd is a landscaper who has an alcohol problem and his life has kind of fallen apart. And I have this whole intro to the movie in my head. I have a song I want to hear as the intro, and Paul Rudd driving. And what do you call that when you're phasing into a movie and the credits are playing and they do like the montage?
Yeah.
So he's driving through the town to get to this job site, and they're showing clips of different places in this town, kind of giving you a sense of where it's at.
Yeah.
And it's just him driving this old beat up truck. And it's got to be Paul Rudd. And I just have this, I feel like I need to make it. So Paul Rudd, if you ever hear this and you just think, hey, that would be a funny thing to do. I know people, we could do that for cheap. I would love to talk to you. Right. It's a dream. Okay. It's a teacher asking you for a dream. If you want to do it, that'd
like,
be great.
Here, direct it. And
and I have like,
where's the script? That's not the point.
It's all up here. It's all up here. We don't need a script.
Just play by ear.
You ever have those moments where there's just this thing and like it's never gonna happen, but you just have like it would just be like this moment in time, and I have like 12 pages of a story.
Hey,
because I did build it out, and a real writer could probably make something out of it.
Hey, it was a short story. There you go.
If you just feel like doing something from the bottom of your heart, Mr. Rudd,
you should just publish it anyway.
No, Blanca made it clear how shitty it was, but
I remember you sent this. I thought it was just the first page. I don't remember reading 12 pages. The one you left out here.
It was. Oh boy, yeah, I was really
because you had typed it up. I remember.
I did,
and so
I was feeling good that night, but I didn't think it was horrible. But
yeah, if I remember reading the beginning, I didn't think it was terrible or anything. Very Hemingway.
My wife is funny though. She likes to keep me grounded in reality.
You're not Ernest Hemingway. Quit.
She was laughing at it like, fuck you.
Well, she's going to find all the grammar mistakes and shit.
There weren't any. I'm a good writer, man. I mean, maybe I tried too hard.
She's going to have some spelling.
Well, I had a lot of I tried to do nuance. I tried to connect things throughout and give the theme to it. And she just thought it was funny. I'm like, whatever. I'm like, yeah, you read friggin'
You read
girl novels.
Yeah. What is that, Stephanie Meyer?
Yeah, you read the Twilight. Yeah. This is real American literature.
Yeah, no. Anyway, Alicia reads. Alicia reads all the time, but I can't even.
Blanca.
I don't even know what kind of books she reads. She's reading one called something about a frog. It's not called there's a frog. The title has frog in it, but it's more of like a Stutz. It's like, you know.
Oh yeah, like a self-help kind of. Like
yeah. She's in a book club, so they're reading that, and so they're like every week I don't know if it's every week anymore.
Oh,
or if every other week or something. But they meet and they, you know, discuss it.
It's funny how life works sometimes, right? Like there are periods of time where things are going well and you feel like, you know, you don't spend any time on self-help or like doing better for yourself or change. And then there's times where you just feel kind of low.
Yeah.
And you look for that type of thing.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking about, you know, and that's life. And that's like, you know, back to the Phil Stutz thing and back to mental health. To wrap this all up, we've talked about things we feel bad about.
Yeah.
We've talked about things that make us feel happy. We've laughed.
We cried. No.
I cried a little bit inside.
Yeah.
You know, I've pitched to Paul Rudd. Like all these things that we do in our lives, they all are a part of the tapestry of living, right? And,
yeah. It's like
and you know, to have good, it's kind of like that balance of good and evil. It's a real thing. And the balance of happiness and misery, to know both, you have to have both.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
So we just live it. And we don't give up and we keep pushing forward. And you know, do you remember what the old ass cartoon, the claymation of all those holiday classics?
Oh, like the Rudolph and all that.
Yeah, and there's the Heat Miser and all that. I remember one song. It was like kind of corny, but
was it from the Rudolph?
From those things.
Oh yeah.
And this character says, "Just put one foot in front of the other."
Yeah. I know what song you're talking about.
I still think about that song when I am overwhelmed by something and I feel like I don't want to move on.
Just put one foot in front of the other. Keep going, man.
I mean, if that's I could write a book, one foot in front of the other. It is literally not the whole picture. It is one step at a time.
Yeah.
It's one little thing at a time. You can move a mountain one grain of sand at a time. And you can create a huge mess for yourself one step at a time. You just got to find a direction and start moving.
Can you imagine moving a mountain?
Man, it would take a lot of grains. I mean, you know, I would
get the smallest hill and then be like, I'm done.
Right, I know. I
can't move this big ass rock.
The way I work, I'd move it for like 2 days and then be like, yeah, fuck this.
Jose,
you know, this mountain's not really all that important.
Call my cousin Jose. He'll do it.
Yeah, right. Louis, who are those guys that you hired to move all those blocks?
Yeah, right. Her cousins or something. I don't know who they were.
Anyway, I love life. I love life. I love the ups. I love the downs. You take the good, you take the bad, you take them all, and there you have facts of life.
Damn, rhyming. Right?
I made that up.
Shit, it's freestyling over here.
That is a TV show.
Facts of Life is, yeah.
Yes. Okay, just making sure. I don't want to take credit for something that I didn't actually.
No, Facts of Life, yeah.
Yeah, Facts of Life.
The older audience, we know what that is.
Yeah, I hope so.
I'm trying to remember which one that was. But anyway.
Yeah.
That's all we got.
Love you guys. Take care. Have a great week.
The bottom one?
Yeah.